Managing chronic conditions means that even on our worst days, on some of the most horrible days, that self-care is essential, and that something as simple as preparing a meal for yourself, especially for those of us who are living on our own, we're aging solo, we want to age gracefully, remain independent, and do our very best to not be a burden, and also invest in health and know that when there's time to call for help and when there's time to move forward, even when things are painful. I shared in another video that we've got some really heavy things happening in our world, and probably you do as well. You know, every day with chronic conditions, there can be aches and pains, and some days that are better than others, though managing it and moving forward is essential. That's something that I have found, because as someone who's been a caregiver, I know when there's time for compassion, when there's time for empathy and time to step in. And there's also time to know that when an older adult is wanting their independence, there's time to give them space and know that as a mature adult, we know what's best for our health. And I certainly don't want pity. Now, when I need help, I ask for it. And since food is medicine in my world, and when there's been things that have been disruptive and taken me out of my routine and I wasn't able to batch cook the way I typically do, there's times when I need to take a step back and realize that, okay, there's times to utilize the resources available to me, such as being in the position that I am, that one of my jobs actually allows for sick leave, and that's a rarity. That's sadly uncommon. And I've worked in plenty of jobs over the years where I didn't have those type of benefits, and I'm very grateful that I do have one of my main employers allows for that. During the evening, we got we've had some bad news over the last couple of days, and you may have seen in another video that I was sharing my concerns of a beloved pet who had been lost. There are certainly other things going on, and we go through those waves of grief, and when there's periods of stress, whether it's at a job or perhaps friends and relatives who are also going through pain and discomfort or preparing for moving on. I have a dear friend who put her mother in hospice, and also heard from another relative that a brother-in-law was seriously injured in a fire. These things are part of our life and part of the reality of aging well with dignity and grace, and also being able to step up to the plate when there's things that demand our attention. Now, when I'm grieving and I don't feel my best, a lot of times I lose my appetite. And I showed in another video that I pushed myself really hard this morning just to prepare my morning tonic in order for me to take my medication. And since I've already seen my doctor, I had a bad night with a fever and some heart palpitations, and I am taking a sick day to invest in my self-care and to follow my doctor's orders. I am going through the fridge and doing some of the prep work that I wasn't able to do on Sunday. I had a lot of clearance. Excuse me. I had a lot of produce that I wanted to roast. These vegetables, these were all on discount, and I'm roasting these to make a blender salsa. So I'm getting those in the oven now, and finally getting a little bit of an appetite as I'm finishing my morning drink to have oatmeal. And one of the things I do when I'm preparing oatmeal is I will add greens to this. I have some frozen spinach, little baby spinach that was fresh that I just froze until it got to the texture to where I could crumble it. And after I cook it with the spinach in there, then I'll put some fresh blueberries on here. I had already prepared, this is a cilantro cashew cream that I will have with dinner. When the vegetables are all roasted, then I'm going to make a blender salsa and have that in the fridge for tacos and all sorts of things later on for dinner tonight. Since the ethnic market I went to has a fresh tortilleria in there, I bought a huge batch of tortillas, and I'm just going to make some enchiladas. I am plant-based. If you don't know, my name is Tiffany. I am the founder of Anderson Therapeutics, and I recovered from life-threatening illness years ago and have a team of doctors who encouraged me to follow the Starch Solution, which is a whole food, plant-based, oil-free diet, and it has worked miracles in my life. It saved my life and improved my life in ways that I hadn't believed possible. On Sunday, when my sweet little grandkitty died, one of the things that I do that relaxes me, and I certainly wanted to go out and visit family and spend time with her before she passed, and I made a big huge pasta salad, and I have some of the leftovers for that, so maybe I'll have this for lunch. Right now I'm just focusing on getting something a little more solid in my stomach and then preparing meals for later on. This is how I stay on a budget and better manage my health, and you know, just do really simple things, just make batch cook things like enchiladas and have staples on hand like oatmeal, because I don't know about you, but when my stomach's feeling gurgly and I'm not feeling my best, I need something in my stomach that is easier to digest, and things like oatmeal helps. I had a little bowl of rice and raisins last night. It was just kind of like the easy peasy way of making a mock rice pudding. It was a breakfast thing that we used to have as a kid, just rice and raisins with a little bit of cinnamon, and I use plant milk. I make my own oat milk and a little stevia on there, and that was it. I'm recording this now to speak to people who are like myself. They're living on a budget. You're an older adult and wanting to take care of yourself, and know that even on the crappiest days, there's things we need to do to better manage our chronic conditions in order to move forward, because we don't get better. A lot of times we get worse, and we want to do our best. If you haven't seen the beverage that I have in the morning with the kombucha, this honestly has been another thing that has helped me with digestive problems, and it's been really useful for me. Simple foods like this, just staple meals with the starch solution. I make like roasted potatoes. I make sure that I have rice on hand. I have big, huge containers of beans like lentils. I make taco spice lentils in order to have rice bowls, and I made a big batch of red lentil dal, so I always have red lentils on hand. There's so many great creators out there that, I mean, I'm certainly not a chef, though I do love to cook, and cooking relaxes me, and it just feels like a really beautiful process as I'm taking something as simple as like this grapefruit. I've set this out because I'm going to have this tonight as my dessert, and it's delicious, it's nourishing, and when I gift myself things like this, that even when I'm crying and when I'm in pain, that this is the act of kindness that as my own caretaker that I'm doing for myself. When you're your own caretaker, when you're living on your own, those acts of kindness and care are really crucial. So I hope you're doing that. Invest in you. Thanks for watching.